Before we go into details of machine learning, let's take a look at AI as a field into whole context of human history. And before we even do that, let's take a look at history of cars. Imagine you were a horse 100 years ago. Now we are very used to using cars. Okay, it is a daily part of our life. But just 100 years ago, approximately, cars were a luxury. They were a new invention. The only alternative of transport until then which was available was horse, which was improvement over the technology which we had before that, legs. So if we had to go somewhere, just less than 200 years, we would have had to use horse. Before we domesticated animals, either it is for transport or food, we had to use our legs. So it was completely up to us to maybe train our muscles of legs so that we could travel longer. Now, when cars were just starting out, what was the horse thinking? I mean, they're not as conscious as us, but still, imagine. He's gonna say, oh, the cars are so expensive, they're so slow, I don't have to worry about it. I will keep doing what I am doing and I will still be employable. And that is the reason actually cars have replaced everything because technology keeps going forward. And if let's say someone doesn't adapt according to technology, the job which that person was doing will probably get automated by the machine. So there is a video about it. So if you check, humans need not apply. This video is the same context. The context I was making, that imagine you are a horse and what happened, how did things change, and what should you do so that you are still relevant after cars come. So do check out this video. This is a very interesting video. Okay, now what I want to make as a point here is very important. You see, I'm not saying the skills aren't important. What I'm saying is here, if you don't adapt, if you remain the same way, that is a problem. Why? Let's check another book. If you simply read this book called as Most Human Human, a very interesting title. But the context, the history behind this book is even more amazing. So there is a thing called as Turing test. It was actually used as a test for artificial intelligence. What is this test? You are talking to someone via chat. You don't know who you are talking to. You don't know whether it is a person or you don't know if it is a AI. Okay, and you have to actually guess by talking to that, is it a human or a AI, human or a AI, human or a AI. If AI system can fool all the humans in thinking that it is a human, that is when Turing test will be called. Turing test will be successful. It is when AI is as, let's say, intelligent as humans. Okay, this book is written by a person who had participated in the Turing test, but he was on the side as a person who was chatting. So there will be participants who are trying to guess that is it a human or a machine, and they would need to talk with a human, right? So author of this book was that human, and he talks about the pressure he was feeling trying to convince other people that I am human. He was competing with other AIs to prove to the other humans that he's a human. So it reminds me of a game where imagine there are 10 people playing a game. So the game is called as a mafia game, wherein in group of citizens, let's say 10, someone is a thief. Okay, and it is job of police to catch the thief and remove that thief from the game. Now the thief is gonna say, I am not the thief. He is the thief. He will point to a citizen, say, okay, look at this. This is my proof that you should kill him. And if police actually kills a citizen, then thieves get overpower, and that's how the game is won. In the similar way, a human trying to think about other humans and AI trying to prove that he is human. Okay, whether it is this book or whether it is this book, the other book is Humans Are Underrated. These books actually talk about the context. What it talks about, there are two things. There is one, intelligence, and there is artificial intelligence, which is trying to simulate few of the things we do. But there are a lot other things, and if we kind of like get good at them, the worrying for jobs is not the problem. Even if it is a thing like GPT. So GPT 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no matter how big it grows, what GPT is a AI which OpenAI created, which is like a chat text creation. So you can actually type something to that person, not person but a AI, and it will reply back. It is very human like. Okay, so when it reached 1, people were like, it's a very simple thing. When it reached 2, people are like, oh, it's getting better. When it reached 3, people are like, oh, it's scary good. When it will reach 4, people will think, damn, it's amazing. When it will reach 5, you probably need to start using it or something. It's the same analogy as cars. You actually, the skill which is needed after cars came is skill of using the car. Similarly, you see, the intelligence which matters going forward is whether you adapt and incorporate the new tools. In my opinion, AI is just a new tool, and when you learn to use the tool, that's when you are truly useful. And who better to talk about this than Gary Kasparov? So, if you search Gary Kasparov's TED Talk, in that TED Talk, he actually says that's the title. A person who was the best world's chess player, who is still treated as the legend in that game. The title of his talk is Don't Fear Intelligent Machines, Work with Them. Someone who was at top of the game, who was defeated by machines. And since machines have just become better than us, now that person knows that working with the machines is the way going forward. So, the reason I was talking about all these things is to set a context that AI is not to replace us. AI is a new tool which is coming forward, and when we learn to use this, we actually become even more effective. A writer, before computer was invented, writer would have to actually write on pages. If something was wrong, he would actually scribble, cross something, and then maybe write it again with hands. Then typewriter helped that thing, writing became even faster. And with help of computer, it became even faster. With help of, let's say, spelling check and tools like this, it became even better. But ask writers. Writers have actually successfully proven that with tools, okay, right now there are tools like Grammarly, there are tools like autocomplete with help of AI, there might be tools like GPT which help you do lot of good text autocomplete. Okay, writers with help of amazing tools, you see, compared to 100 years ago, we now have very different tools now. Now this is a very interesting thing. With help of such interesting tools which are incredibly useful, good writers became better, bad writers became worse, and great writers became much greater. So tools are not there to replace you, tools are there to add value to you. And if you take a look at this line, if you are bad, you'll become worse. If you are good, you'll become better. Not necessary. You have to learn how to become better. For that, you have to learn how to use the tool effectively. But That is what AI is. It is a neutral tool, and depending on how you use it, it will actually decide your value. Okay, so in a Notion page where we give extra links, we'll give links of all the talks which we referred here, which is talk by Gary Kasparov, talk by this humans need not reply, most human, or humans are underrated. Just check them out according to however you want, and please be assured, before you learn AI, it is not to replace us, it is to actually give power to us. But to be more powerful with help of AI, we need to learn to use it. So congratulations on your journey on starting to learn to use it. So in next lecture, we'll see more details how intelligence fits into the context of human history.